Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're exploring that feeling, that really familiar feeling of being lost.
It's something most people experience, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You've shared some really thoughtful perspectives on this before, and what we want to unpack is not just why it happens, but maybe some meaningful ways you can find your footing again.
Well, think for a moment about your mind. Maybe picture it as a boat, gently moving on a misty river.
Okay, a boat on a river.
And one bank, one shore, holds all your past, everything you've experienced, your memories.
Right.
And the other bank, that's the future, everything that might be.
Mm-hmm.
Often that feeling of being lost, it seems to arise when you become too focused on one of those shores, either, clinging to the past or paddling furiously towards the future.
And you lose sight of where you actually are.
Exactly. You lose sight of the
Yeah.
present moment, the river itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that struggle, that sort of inability to simply be where you are, that's often right at the heart of feeling disoriented.
That image of the river
Yeah.
that really resonates. And to understand this feeling a bit more deeply, we're going to explore some ancient wisdom, specifically from Buddhist philosophy, right?
Yes. It offers such insightful perspectives on what creates this sense of being lost. We'll be looking at what are often described as mental obstacles,
Obstacle.
the things that cloud our vision.
Things that cloud our inner vision, yes. Make it hard to find peace, find direction. Understanding these obstacles, sometimes they're called hindrances, that can be a really important first step, finding your way back to a feeling of clarity.
Okay, so let's start there. These hindrances.
Let's begin by looking at 5 key ones, 5 mental obstacles that often contribute to this feeling of being lost. The first is sensual desire, or craving.
Craving. Okay.
Imagine, as the teachings sometimes describe it, a bird in a golden cage.
Mm,
To anyone watching, it might seem like it has everything it could possibly need. It's safe, it's beautiful.
right. But that.
But even in that beautiful prison, the bird still longs for the open sky, for true freedom. That's a really striking image. It really shows how we can sometimes become so fixated on wanting things, doesn't it? Possessions, maybe relationships, achievements.
Believing they'll finally make us happy.
Yeah, believing that's the key.
Mm.
But it often feels like that desire is never, truly satisfied. We keep reaching for something just out of reach.
And in that constant striving, we disconnect from right now, from the very place where a deeper sense of peace might actually be found.
Have you ever noticed that pattern? You chase a desire, get it, and the satisfaction is just fleeting before the wanting starts all over again.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very common human experience.
So in essence, this hindrance kind of traps us by keeping our focus on a future that never quite arrives, doesn't it?
Indeed. It keeps us looking elsewhere. And the second hindrance is ill will or aversion.
Aversion, so the opposite of craving, pushing away instead of pulling towards.
Exactly. Picture yourself walking through a beautiful garden full of color and scent. But instead of noticing the beauty, the flowers, the light, your eye is only drawn to the thorns, the sharp edges that could cause pain.
Ah, I see.
Aversion works like that in our minds. It makes us focus on what irritates us, what hurts us. It creates negativity, and it can push us away from others, and even from ourselves.
That sounds isolating.
It can be very isolating. Think about times when anger or resentment has just taken over your thoughts,
Huh.
how it clouded your perspective, left you feeling adrift, kind of lost in that negativity.
Yeah. It's like wearing glasses that only let you see the negative stuff. And that constant sense of being against something must be so draining
Yeah.
and disorienting.
Extremely draining. Then we have the third hindrance, sloth and torpor.
Sloth and torpor sounds like laziness and heaviness.
It is, but it's often deeper than just physical tiredness. It's a lack of energy, yes, but in the mind as well as the body.
Like a mental fog.
Exactly like the mental fog.
Yeah.
It takes away our motivation, our clarity. Imagine a thick fog rolling in, not just outside, but inside your own head.
Yeah.
Makes it hard to think clearly, hard to act decisively.
Mm.
When we're in that state, even simple tasks can feel enormous. Impossible sometimes.
Yeah, I've felt that.
And this lack of energy, this lack of focus, it naturally makes it harder to navigate life's challenges, right?
Yeah.
It just deepens that feeling of confusion. Can you recall times when you've felt that heavy inertia? Where even making a small decision felt like way too much effort?
Oh, definitely. It feels like being stuck in mud or slow motion.
So this hindrance, it traps us by making us feel incapable of moving forward, stuck.
Absolutely. And then comes the fourth hindrance. Restlessness and worry, often described as anxiety. That feels incredibly common today.
Precisely. It's very prevalent. Think of trying to find a quiet moment, maybe trying to meditate
Yeah.
while standing right next to a busy road.
Impossible.
Almost impossible, yeah. The constant noise, the activity, it just shatters your focus. Restlessness and worry work in a similar way in our minds. Our attention just jumps around from one concern to the next, never settling.
So you can't be present.
You can't truly be present, no. Whether it's replaying past mistakes or constantly worrying about the future, this mental churn uses up so much energy. And ironically, it makes us feel even less capable of finding any kind of peace or stability.
Has there been a time when worry has kept you awake at night, your mind just racing with endless what ifs?
Many times. It's a very human pattern.
I think a lot of us can relate to that one. Okay, and finally, the fifth hindrance is doubt. That feeling of uncertainty.
Doubt. It sounds like that little inner voice that just undermines everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
In many ways it is. Doubt is that insidious voice that asks those undermining questions. It weakens our confidence. What if you're wrong? It whispers.
Are you sure about this?
Exactly. What if this isn't the right path? This constant questioning leads to hesitation, to indecision. It makes the path ahead seem unclear, like trying to walk on quicksand or shaky ground.
You just get paralyzed.
You can. Without a basic trust in ourselves, and maybe in life itself, we become stuck, unable to take the steps needed to find our direction. Have you ever felt that? That inability to commit to something because of that underlying self-doubt?
Yes, it's a very familiar feeling. So in essence, this hindrance traps us by preventing us from even starting on a path, doesn't it?
It certainly can. It keeps us hovering, hesitant.
It's fascinating and also a bit sobering to hear these described as universal human experiences, hindrances we all face. But it also makes me wonder, how does the world we live in today affect them? Does it make them stronger?
That's a really important question. And yes, I think while these mental obstacles have been recognized for centuries, the conditions of modern society often amplify their impact. Significantly sometimes.
How so?
Well, think about social media, for example.
Okay.
These platforms are literally designed to grab and hold our attention.
Right, the attention economy.
Exactly. And they often do it by playing on our natural desire for approval, for connection, for validation. Every time we scroll, we see these carefully chosen images, these highlight reels of other people's lives.
Which makes comparison almost inevitable.
It does. It can easily lead to comparisons that fuel both wanting what they seem to have, that's the craving, and feeling inadequate or resentful, that's the aversion. This constant cycle can create a really fragmented sense of self, always looking outside for validation, for approval. Does that resonate? That feeling like you're on a never-ending treadmill of wanting something you see online?
It absolutely does. That constant comparison game feels so unhealthy. And then there's the constant messaging of consumerism on top of that.
Exactly. We are just bombarded, constantly surrounded by messages that equate happiness with buying things, achieving a certain status, owning the right stuff.
The message is, buy this, achieve that, and then you'll finally be happy, complete.
Right. But as we often find, maybe even intuitively know, that kind of happiness is temporary. It's fleeting. It's quickly replaced by a new feeling of emptiness or just wanting the next thing.
It's a cycle, isn't it? Always needing the next purchase, the next hit to feel okay.
It can definitely become that. And lastly, you mentioned the hustle culture earlier. That seems so deeply ingrained now.
Yeah, it feels like the air we breathe sometimes.
Yes, that constant push for productivity, the idea that being busy equals being valuable. It's become a very powerful narrative in many societies.
We're often led to believe our value comes entirely from what we achieve, how much we do.
Precisely. And this can lead straight to burnout, of course, but also to a deeper sense of unease and existential dread almost, especially when our whole sense of self becomes tied only to these external measures of success.
You lose touch with yourself.
You risk losing touch with your inner values, yeah. Your own inner compass gets ignored in the rush.
It's a trap so many of us fall into, myself included sometimes. So, okay, with all this fog, the hindrances, the modern pressures clouding our way, what's the first hint of light? How do we even start to see through it?
Well, the very first step, I think, is actually quite simple but profound. It's about changing how we see this feeling of confusion, of being lost.
What do you mean?
Instead of thinking of it as a failure or a flaw in ourselves, we can start to see it as a signal, a signpost.
A signal for what?
It's an internal message telling us that something within us is maybe longing for change, longing for a different way of being. It's not wrong, it's just information.
That's a really helpful way to reframe it. Okay, so it's a signal. How do we actually begin to work with that signal then?
There's a simple but really powerful practice rooted in this kind of thinking that can help. The first part is to intentionally pause and observe.
Pause and observe.
Yeah. Take just a few moments each day. It doesn't have to be long to sit quietly and simply watch your thoughts. See them come and go without judging them. Notice when those familiar feelings arise, the craving, the aversion, the laziness, the restlessness, the doubt.
Just notice them without getting swept away.
That's the key, just acknowledging them. Bringing them into your awareness actually starts to lessen their unconscious hold on you. Their power diminishes slightly when you see them clearly.
Okay, that makes sense. Just noticing. What's next?
The second part involves asking yourself some key questions. Gently, during these moments of stillness, or maybe later reflecting on them.
Like what kind of questions?
Questions like, what am I truly longing for underneath this feeling right now? Is there something in my life I'm resisting, something that perhaps needs acceptance? Where am I holding back? What fears or uncertainties might be keeping me stuck here?
Those are deep questions.
They are, and the answers might not come immediately, but just asking them begins to illuminate the underlying causes, the roots of that feeling of being lost. It starts a process of self-inquiry.
That kind of honest self-inquiry feels really important, even if it's uncomfortable sometimes. And the third part you mentioned was cultivating gratitude.
Yes, gratitude. It's about consciously shifting your focus, moving your attention away from what you feel is missing or wrong in your life,
Towards what's already there.
towards what is already present and good. Even small things. Gratitude acts as a really strong antidote to those 5 hindrances we talked about.
How so?
It starts to weaken their grip on your mind. It reminds you of the positive aspects of your life right here, right now. Even just taking a moment to think of, say, 3 things you are genuinely grateful for. That can make a subtle but really meaningful difference to your state of mind.
So, okay. Reframe confusion as a signal. Pause to observe our thoughts without judgment. Ask ourselves those key, honest questions, and actively cultivate gratitude. These feel like, well, they feel like very manageable first steps, accessible.
They are designed to be. And remember what we said, feeling lost doesn't necessarily mean we've failed or we're broken.
Right, you said it could be a signal for change.
Exactly. It often indicates that we are on the verge of growth, that maybe we're ready for a new chapter, even if we don't know what it is yet. Just like that river we spoke of earlier. Our life journey will naturally have its twists and turns, its misty patches. But each bend in the river can also reveal new landscapes, new opportunities for discovery. The key is trying to stay present with the flow as much as we can.
And now we're going to explore more deeply how the teachings of Buddha can offer even more practical ways to find our way, to cultivate that clarity, that purpose, and inner strength that can truly transform confusion into a journey of self-discovery.
Yes, and to truly appreciate the wisdom Buddha shared, I think it's really helpful to consider his own journey first. Prince Siddhartha.
Right, he started out with everything, didn't he?
He lived a life of incredible comfort, yes, shielded completely from the harsh realities of suffering. But he had this inherent curiosity. It led him beyond the palace walls.
And that's when he saw things he'd never seen before.
For the very first time, yes. He encountered aging, sickness, and death. And these experiences profoundly shook his understanding of the world. They revealed the impermanent nature of life, the inevitability of suffering.
That must have been incredibly jarring.
Deeply. But this realization didn't lead him to despair. Instead, it ignited a deep quest for understanding, for answers.
It's really remarkable to think of someone leaving behind such a privileged, sheltered life to seek such fundamental truths. It really highlights that material comfort isn't always the answer to that deeper unrest we sometimes feel.
Precisely. Siddhartha's journey involved letting go of everything familiar, everything safe. He went in search of understanding. Initially, he tried extreme self-denial, asceticism, believing that might lead to enlightenment.
Pushing himself to the limit.
To the absolute limit. But after years of this really rigorous practice, he realized that this extreme, it wasn't the path either. It was just another form of suffering.
So he found a balance.
He discovered the middle way, a path of balance, mindfulness, deep inner reflection, avoiding both excessive indulgence and excessive deprivation.
And his story speaks to us
Because in our own ways, we often reach points where our current structures, our metaphorical palaces, maybe they are, careers, relationships, belief systems, identities, they no longer serve us. They can even feel restrictive, like that golden cage. The core lesson, perhaps, is that true growth often requires us to look inward, to face our discomfort rather than trying to escape it or distract ourselves from it.
That idea of a metaphorical palace
Mhm.
that really hits home. We can build these comfortable, familiar, but ultimately limiting structures around ourselves. And it was from this journey of Siddhartha's that the foundational teachings arose,
Really?
like the Four Noble Truths.
Yes, exactly. These truths form the very foundation of his teachings. They offer a framework for understanding the nature of suffering, or maybe dissatisfaction is a better word sometimes, and how to move beyond it.
Okay, so what's the first truth?
The first truth is the truth of suffering, or dukkha. This acknowledges that life inherently involves dissatisfaction. It ranges from small frustrations, little annoyances, all the way to significant pain and loss.
And feeling lost fits in here.
Feeling lost is, in itself, a form of dukkha. It's a recognition that something isn't quite right, that there's a sense of unease. And instead of resisting this feeling, judging it, the first step is simply to acknowledge its presence.
So suffering isn't the enemy.
It isn't presented as an enemy to be defeated, it's more like a teacher, guiding us towards the need for change, for deeper understanding. The first noble truth, in essence, is just acknowledging that this feeling of being lost, this sense of something not being quite right, it's a fundamental part of the human experience. It's okay.
Okay, so acknowledging that feeling isn't a failure, it's just noticing reality. What follows from that? What's the second truth?
The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering, samadaya. This teaching points to attachment, or maybe clinging is a better word, as the root cause.
Clinging to what?
Are clinging to things that are inherently impermanent, whether they are possessions, people, outcomes, or even our ideas about how life should be.
Expectations.
Exactly. When we feel lost, it's often because we are holding on to outdated beliefs, perhaps unmet expectations, or idealized versions of reality that just aren't matching up. The question to ask ourselves here is, what am I clinging to? What am I afraid to let go of?
This can be really challenging questions to face, honestly. But the third truth offers some hope, doesn't it?
It does, very much so. The third noble truth, nirodha, is the truth of the end of suffering. It states that liberation from this cycle of dissatisfaction is possible.
Wow.
By releasing those attachments, letting go of that clinging, and cultivating wisdom and understanding, we can find freedom. So that feeling of being lost, it isn't necessarily a permanent state. It can actually signify that you are ready to shed what no longer serves you, to create space for something new to emerge.
That's a really powerful reframe. Not an endpoint, but a sign you're ready to move on. And the final truth provides the actual path forward.
Exactly. The fourth noble truth, Maga, is the truth of the path leading to the end of suffering. This is the famous Eightfold Path.
Right, I've heard of that.
It's a really comprehensive guide. It includes aspects like right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
It sounds like a complete way of living.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand, it's not like a linear path you just walk down and complete and then you're finished.
It's ongoing.
It's an ongoing process, a continuous practice of growth, refinement, and integration into your daily life. So by understanding these four noble truths in relation to your own feeling of being lost, you can begin to see your experience maybe not as a random negative occurrence, but as part of a deeper human journey and potentially a catalyst for really positive change.
Okay. So we have this framework, the Four Noble Truths, and this path, the Eightfold Path. How do we actually start to walk this path, especially when we're feeling lost and maybe pretty overwhelmed already?
That's a great question. And one of the most accessible and powerful ways to begin integrating these principles is through mindfulness practices.
Mindfulness, we hear that word a lot. What does it really mean here?
Here, it means techniques that help us quiet some of that mental noise we talked about, sharpen our focus, cultivate a deeper connection with the present moment, the very thing that often gets obscured when we feel lost.
Okay. So what are some of these specific mindfulness practices you'd recommend starting with?
Well, one foundational practice is meditation. Simple sitting meditation.
Now, often people have misconceptions about meditation, right? Like you have to empty your mind completely, which feels impossible.
It does feel impossible, and thankfully that's not the goal. The essence of meditation, as taught in this context, is really about training the mind to observe, to watch what arises without judgment.
How do you start?
You can start very simply, maybe just 5 minutes a day. Find a comfortable posture. You don't have to sit cross-legged on the floor. Just sit comfortably. Close your eyes gently if that feels okay. And bring your attention to the sensation of your breath.
Just the physical feeling of breathing.
Yeah, the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen, whatever is most noticeable for you.
Yeah.
And when thoughts inevitably arise, because they will, that's what minds do.
Right.
Simply acknowledge them. Oh, thinking, without getting carried away by the story. And gently, kindly redirect your attention back to your breath again and again.
So it's not about fighting the thoughts.
Not at all. It's about noticing them and choosing where to place your attention. This consistent practice, even in small increments, strengthens your ability to stay present. It reduces the power of that anxiety and doubt we mentioned, the things that really contribute to feeling lost.
So it's less about stopping thoughts and more about learning to observe them. Creating some space, that makes sense. It feels more achievable.
Precisely. That space is key. Another valuable practice is journaling.
Writing things down.
Yes. Setting aside even just 10 minutes, maybe each evening, to write down your thoughts, feelings, observations from the day. It can be incredibly insightful.
Do you need prompts? Or just free write?
You can use prompts if that helps guide your reflection. Things like, what situations today made me feel most lost or disoriented? Or maybe, what small steps forward, however tiny, did I manage to take? What am I grateful for in this moment? Journaling helps to kind of externalize your inner landscape. Makes it easier to see recurring patterns, maybe understand your emotional triggers better, and also track your progress over time, reminding yourself that even small steps are significant.
That act of putting thoughts onto paper, it can often bring a surprising amount of clarity, can't it?
It really can. And there's a third practice I often suggest, especially if sitting still feels difficult.
Okay.
Walking meditation.
Walking meditation, how does that work?
It's particularly helpful if you feel restless. Find a quiet space, maybe indoors or ideally outdoors if possible, and just walk slowly, deliberately. Pay close attention to the physical sensations of your body in motion.
Like the feeling of your feet.
The feeling of your feet making contact with the ground, yeah. The rhythm of your breath as you walk, the movement of your arms, your legs. Engage all your senses with your surroundings. What you see, hear, smell.
So it combines movement with awareness.
Exactly. It helps to ground you in your body and your immediate environment, which can be incredibly helpful when you're feeling disconnected or lost up in your thoughts.
These all sound like very practical, very accessible tools. Meditation, journaling, walking meditation.
They're meant to be accessible.
And it's important to remember, I suppose, that these aren't quick fixes, they're practices.
Exactly. That's a crucial point. Just like learning any skill, playing an instrument, learning a language, cultivating mindfulness, takes patience. It takes regular, gentle effort. Consistency is more important than intensity.
Right.
But the cumulative effect of these practices can be really profound, leading to subtle but significant shifts in your perspective over time, gradually dissolving that fog of confusion, replacing it with a greater sense of calm and presence and inner clarity.
It's fascinating how these ancient principles, these practices, can still be so relevant, so applicable to the specific challenges we face today. How can we specifically apply these teachings to some of those modern issues that really contribute to feeling lost, like, say, comparison culture?
That's a big one. Embarrassing culture, fueled often by social media. These platforms create this illusion, don't they, that others have it all figured out, living perfect lives.
Yeah, the highlight reel effect.
Exactly, and it can lead to intense feelings of inadequacy or envy. But the Buddhist teaching on impermanence, remember that.
Everything changes.
Everything changes. It reminds us that everyone experiences both highs and lows in life, successes and failures, joys and sorrows, regardless of their carefully curated online presence.
So don't believe the hype.
Pretty much. Instead of measuring your own messy, real journey against the polished highlight reel of others, the focus shifts. It shifts inward to your unique path, and crucially, to the cultivation of self-compassion.
Treating yourself kindly.
Treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend who is facing difficulties. That's a radical act sometimes in our culture.
That shift in focus from needing external validation to finding internal understanding and kindness, that seems absolutely crucial. What about dealing with burnout, that pervasive issue in our sort of hustle-obsessed culture?
Burnout, yes. The Buddhist concept of the middle way, which we touched on when talking about Siddhartha's journey.
Avoiding extremes.
Exactly. Avoiding extremes. It offers really valuable guidance here. It emphasizes the importance of balance in all aspects of life.
So in the context of work and burnout,
it means recognizing the absolute necessity of rest, not as a luxury, but as essential, setting healthy boundaries between work and personal life, which is harder than ever for many people, and consciously engaging in activities that genuinely nourish your spirit. Things you do just for joy or peace, not for productivity. True success, from this perspective, isn't about relentless striving or climbing some ladder. It's about living authentically, sustainably.
Finding a rhythm you can actually live with long term, rather than pushing ourselves to the brink constantly. Okay. And finally, how do these principles help us navigate the constant change, the uncertainty that seems to characterize modern life so much?
Well, the Buddhist principle of non-attachment is key here.
Letting go.
Letting go is part of it. It reminds us that nothing in life is permanent. Everything is in flux. Resisting this natural flow of change, that's what often leads to suffering. By accepting impermanence, by understanding deep down that all things arise and pass away, we cultivate resilience.
How does that build resilience?
Because we become more adaptable, less likely to be completely thrown off balance by the inevitable ups and downs of life. Instead of clinging desperately to what was or living in constant fear of what might change, we learn to flow more with the present moment. We learn to embrace change, maybe not always liking it, but accepting it as a natural, unavoidable part of the life cycle.
So it's about building an inner sense of stability that isn't totally dependent on external circumstances remaining the same, because they won't.
Precisely. That's the aim. And as you continue on this journey, this exploration of self-discovery, remember that transformation is almost always a gradual process.
It takes time.
It takes time. There will be days when you feel more clarity, more groundedness than others, and that's perfectly normal. That's part of the path too. The most important thing, perhaps, is your commitment to showing up for yourself, day after day, with intention and with kindness.
Like tending a garden.
That's a beautiful analogy, exactly like tending a garden. Some days you'll be planting seeds of intention. Other days you'll be weeding out unhelpful thoughts. Other days just watering with patience and care. And over time, with that consistent, gentle effort, those seeds will blossom into a greater sense of clarity, purpose, and inner peace.
That's a really hopeful image. And now we're moving into the final part of our deep dive today, focusing on how those really difficult moments, those moments of crisis, the times when we feel most profoundly lost, how they can actually become turning points, opportunities for new beginnings.
Yes, exactly. At this stage, we explore the transformative power of what might seem like our darkest moments. It's about understanding that crisis isn't just something to be endured or survived. It can actually be a catalyst, a potent catalyst for profound positive change.
A pathway not just to getting through it, but to thriving.
To genuine thriving, yes. By integrating the wisdom we've been discussing, we can learn to reframe these difficult times, not as insurmountable obstacles or signs of failure, but as vital opportunities. Opportunities for deep renewal and significant, often unexpected growth.
That idea of crisis as opportunity, it's often so difficult to grasp when you're right in the middle of it, isn't it?
Of course. It's incredibly hard when you're overwhelmed by pain or confusion. Maybe an example helps illustrate how this kind of transformation might unfold.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Well, consider someone who, as stories often illustrate, seemingly had everything aligned. Career success, maybe strong relationships, financial security. Things look good on the outside. Then, quite suddenly, maybe unexpectedly, everything falls apart. Perhaps their business fails, or a significant relationship ends abruptly, or they face a health crisis. Unexpected challenges pile up.
They hit rock bottom, so to speak.
They find themselves in a state of deep despair, lost, questioning their very worth, their purpose. For a long time, maybe they feel utterly lost and alone, adrift. However, maybe in a moment of quiet reflection, or perhaps recalling some of these ideas about suffering being part of life, instead of continuing to fight against their pain or numb it, they make a conscious choice, a choice to sit with it, to actually feel it without judgment, without trying to fix it immediately.
That takes courage.
It takes tremendous courage. And through this process, this allowing, they might begin to realize that their suffering isn't meaningless. It's actually revealing what truly holds value for them. Things like authenticity, maybe genuine connection with others, inner peace, things that got lost in the previous setup.
So the loss clarifies what matters.
It can, yes. Over time, they don't just rebuild their life brick by brick to be the same as before. They transform it. They become someone more aligned with their deepest values, their rediscovered inner strength.
So it sounds like that moment of hitting rock bottom actually became the foundation for something new, something perhaps more authentic.
Precisely. And this echoes the understanding found in many wisdom traditions, that personal struggles, our dark nights of the soul, can become profound sources of wisdom and resilience. When we find the courage to embrace our most difficult experiences, not run from them, we often discover an inner strength we never even knew we possessed.
And a key concept from Buddhist thought that helps us navigate these times of crisis is this idea of emptiness, or shunyata. It's a term that can sometimes feel a bit abstract or even scary.
It can sound that way, emptiness. But at its heart, shunyata doesn't mean nothingness in a bleak, nihilistic way. Not at all.
What does it mean then?
Rather, it points to the understanding that nothing exists independently or permanently. Everything is interconnected. Everything is constantly changing. There's no fixed, solid, unchanging self at the core.
Okay, and how does understanding that help when things fall apart?
Grasping this, even intellectually at first, can start to free us from those rigid attachments and the fears that often come with them. When we feel lost, it's often because we are clinging to fixed ideas about who we are, what we should be doing, what our future must look like.
We think losing something means losing ourselves.
Exactly. We believe that losing something, a job, a relationship, even a certain image of ourselves, means losing everything. Means annihilation almost. But the principle of emptiness teaches us that loss isn't necessarily an ending in that total sense. It's a form of transition.
Like seasons changing.
Just like one season gives way to the next.
Yeah.
Endings inevitably create space for new beginnings. Think of a wave in the ocean. Is a wave a separate, permanent thing?
No, it's just the ocean moving.
Right. It's a temporary expression of the ocean. In a similar way, the teaching suggests we are interconnected and constantly changing. There's no fixed you that can be permanently lost because you are part of this larger, ever-flowing whole.
So it's about recognizing the fluid nature of reality and maybe not getting quite so attached to any one state, any one identity.
Exactly. That's the heart of it. And to apply this practically, we can consciously reflect on how much has already changed in our lives. Think back 5, 10, 20 years. Nothing ever stays the same, does it?
No, definitely not.
And that's a fundamental aspect of existence. So change, seen in this light, isn't something to be feared and resisted at all costs. It's an inherent part of growth. It is life.
What else can we do practically with this idea?
We can also make an effort to gently let go of the rigid labels that we, and maybe others, apply to ourselves. Are you truly defined solely by your profession, your social roles, your past achievements or failures? Recognizing the multifaceted, changing nature of your being can be incredibly liberating.
Freeing yourself from boxes.
Yes. And finally, instead of fearing uncertainty, we can try to view it differently. See it as fertile ground. Ground for creativity, for new possibilities to emerge. Many great discoveries, both external and internal, arise from stepping into the unknown.
That reframing of uncertainty as potential, that is really powerful. It shifts the feeling from threat to possibility. And you mentioned earlier that feeling lost can actually be a sign of readiness for change. That's a perspective that really turns things on its head.
It does, doesn't it? Think about it. If you were completely satisfied, totally content with your current situation, would you have any real motivation to seek something different? To learn?
Yeah.
To grow?
Probably not. Complacency sets in.
Exactly. It's often that feeling of discomfort, that ache of being lost, that nudges us out of complacency. It compels us to evolve, to search. It's as if life itself is signaling, gently or sometimes not so gently, you are capable of more than this. There's something else waiting.
So crises aren't punishments, but invitations.
From this viewpoint, yes. They are something to be dreaded and avoided at all costs, but rather invitations. Invitations to step into a new, perhaps more authentic version of yourself. Each time you feel lost, you could ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? How can I use this difficulty to become wiser or kinder or more resilient? What hidden strength might emerge if I just have a little faith in the process?
It's like the lotus flower analogy, isn't it? That beautiful flower grows right out of the muddy water.
Precisely. That's a classic image for this. The challenges, the mud, are part of the journey to something beautiful. Your struggles don't have to define you in a negative way. They have the potential to refine you, to strip away what is no longer essential and reveal your truest essence.
So what are some concrete steps, some final practical things we can take to consciously harness this inner strength, especially during those times when we feel most lost and vulnerable?
Okay, some practical steps. One powerful starting point is to consciously reframe your internal narrative, your self-talk.
How we talk to ourselves.
Yes. Pay attention to the language you use. Instead of saying, I'm stuck, try shifting, even just experimentally, to I'm exploring. Instead of I failed, gently remind yourself, I'm learning. Our words have a significant impact on how we perceive and respond to our experiences.
Change the story, change the feeling.
It can certainly help shift the energy. Another thing is creating small, meaningful rituals in your daily routine. These can provide a surprising sense of stability during turbulent times.
Like what kind of rituals?
Oh, it could be incredibly simple. Lighting a candle each morning with an intention for the day, taking 3 conscious breaths before starting work, practicing gratitude by writing down maybe just one thing you appreciate each evening. These small acts can foster a sense of grounding and hope.
Those simple rituals can be surprisingly powerful anchors, can't they? What else?
Seeking community is also vital, truly vital. No one can really thrive in isolation, especially during challenging times. Surround yourself with people who offer genuine support and understanding, not judgment.
Finding your people.
Finding your people. Exactly. Share your journey with trusted friends, family, or maybe consider connecting with others who are navigating similar experiences, support groups, communities of practice. Remember that connection, community, is a profound source of strength. You are never truly alone on your path, even when it feels that way.
That's important to remember.
And practicing loving-kindness meditation, sometimes called metta, can also be incredibly beneficial.
How does that work?
It involves silently offering wishes of well-being. May you be safe, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful, may you live with ease, first to yourself.
Starting with yourself.
Always starting with yourself, and then gradually extending those wishes outwards to loved ones, neutral people, difficult people, and eventually all beings. This practice cultivates compassion, softens feelings of fear and anger, and strengthens our sense of connection.
And one more.
Finally, maybe take some time each day, even just a few moments, to gently envision the person you aspire to become. Imagine yourself embodying the qualities you wish to cultivate. Maybe confidence, peace, resilience, fulfillment. This isn't about forceful striving, but a gentle mental exercise. It can help align your actions with your intentions and instill a sense of hope and direction.
These are all such valuable, actionable steps. Reframing narrative, rituals, community, loving kindness, visualization. And as we come towards the end of our deep dive today, it really brings us back to that initial image you offered, the river.
Yes. Let's return to that picture of the river flowing onward. Remember, even with its twists and turns, even when it's shrouded in mist for a while, the river continues to flow. It finds its way. Your life, too, unfolds with its own inherent rhythm, its own deep potential.
And that feeling of being lost.
That feeling of being lost is a deeply human experience. We all feel it at times, but it's also perhaps a powerful reminder, a reminder of your innate capacity for renewal, for growth, for beginning again.
So we don't have to stay stuck there.
Not at all. By embracing this understanding of change, of impermanence, by cultivating awareness, mindfulness in your daily life, and by learning to trust, even just a little, in the unfolding of your own unique journey, you absolutely have the ability to transform confusion into clarity, pain into strength, uncertainty into a profound sense of inner peace.
You are, as the journey unfolds, guiding your own way.
Yes, you are the captain of your boat, so to speak. The river of life guides, it carries you, but you learn to steer. You have the power to choose how you navigate its currents. And know that even beyond the most challenging storms, the most confusing fog, a horizon of possibility always, always awaits.
Thank you. Perhaps consider, as you move forward from this conversation, what small step you might take today. Just one small thing to navigate your own river with just a little more awareness, a little more trust. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.